The Love, Life, and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach, Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 70. This is all about why sleep matters with your weight and how to optimize it. So, the goal of this episode is to give you just a quick summary of some specific research that I've just read in this book I've read with my clients. The impacts of optimal sleep or suboptimal sleep on your health, specifically your ability to manage your weight. And you're also going to learn some ideas for actionable tips for helping you to improve the quality and duration of your sleep. My theory is that if you're anything like me, like you've known that sleep is important, but maybe you just don't realize how much it is a huge driver of your ability to reach your weight goals. The book that I'm reading that I'm going to be quoting here is called Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means. Um, some of the things that she went over in her chapter on sleep, the whole book isn't about sleep, of course, but she does dedicate a whole chapter to the importance of it. And it really blew me away as a coach who focuses on weight goals mostly with my clients. I didn't really realize how much metabolically your body is triggered by suboptimal sleep. And I want to go over some of these references that she gives in the book. So I'm going to be quoting from her book. I hope that you go out and get the book and read it for yourself because there's so much more here than just the highlights that I'm going over. So, optimal sleep. Optimal sleep allows our bodies to perform at an optimal level. And when we're talking about weight loss, we are wanting our bodies to respond to the inputs that we're giving it. For example, if you're trying to lose fat, you're going to be eating in a slightly caloric deficit so that your body is triggered to use your stored fuel and burn that. And that way you can lose fat. But if you are not getting optimal sleep, the cascade of adaptations that happens in your body can prevent your body from releasing fat. And this is why it sort of comes into our strategies because so many of us are not getting optimal sleep. Not only that, but you're not even aware that you're not getting optimal sleep. And in today's day and age, kind of like I talked about last podcast about setting integrative weight goals, where I referenced the new technology of smart scales to let us have a more nuanced and data driven discussion about what we're trying to do with our weight goals. It's the same thing with sleep. We have so much wearable technology that there's no excuse for not knowing how much sleep you're getting. So if you haven't been getting optimal results with your weight, I really want you to tune into this episode and start tracking your sleep optimally by using a wearable, some kind of wearable technology. I use a ring called an Aura ring, OURA, and it does a really good job of giving me the data about my sleep, the sleep duration. It will tell me how often I was kind of restless in my sleep. It will tell me my total amount of time spent in light sleep, REM sleep, and deep sleep. And these are all markers that are really important for me to look at daily so that I can help understand what my sleep patterns are and how to work with any challenges to my sleep that could come up, and they do, or just optimize where I'm at right now. Many of my clients also talk about Fitbit has a great, that's a a better price point, and their sleep tracker works really well too. There are a lot of them out there. So, let Google be your guide. Look at the reviews, look at your budget, and I'm going to really highly encourage you to get a sleep tracker. I find in my coaching practice, my clients fall into one of two groups. The first group, they sort of can they adapt really well if they don't get optimal sleep. They're not like super sleep sensitive, I would say. And the other group, if they don't have enough sleep, I call it their kryptonite. They really can't function the next day. So I have a feeling, well, who I'm really talking to here are if this is you who can skimp on your sleep, or you haven't been somebody who is always leaping into bed. You're kind of like interested in maybe doing other things, or, you kind of have to cajole yourself to get into the bedroom, turn the things off, turn the TV off, turn the appliances off, right? The iPad off, and get to sleep. I'm really talking to you. You are probably, if this is you, you're probably not as aware of the quantity and duration of your sleep. And I think that you should be. Okay, so we want to understand what Dr. Amin says about how sleep impacts our ability to lose weight or just change our body composition, lose fat, etc. So the first thing she talks about is to be aware of and assist your body in an optimal circadian rhythm. When I think of circadian rhythm, I often think about those time release videos that show like a plant where when the sun comes up, the plant like sort of will bloom maybe, and the flower opens, and then after a certain period of time, when it starts to get dusk, the flower will close, and then the plant sort of goes dormant just for the night. And this is just on a daily basis. And I think human beings in many ways are much the same. I mean, we wouldn't look this way that a plant does on time lapse video, but there are really subtle things that are happening underneath the hood of your body that happen the moment your body senses that there's light. And I've known for a long time that there's light sensors in the back of your retina that detect light. And what they do is they set off like sort of a timer inside of you where like 12, 14 hours later, you're going to start to secrete that melatonin that makes you naturally sleepy. But what I didn't know in addition to this is that the light circadian rhythm of each day, if you subject your body to getting the light, also sets you up for regulating your hormones, your metabolism, your insulin sensitivity, like all kinds of things. Your glucose tolerance, those also go through a rhythmic cycle throughout the day. So, like I said, melatonin is part of this, and you've got to subject your eyeballs to morning light. It's really, really important that you do that. You might have heard of this when you have jet lag, when you're in the new place that's in a different time zone. It's very important that you get out in their morning to kind of give your body the new information that morning light is happening at a new time. And that helps you adapt with jet lag. And it's the same every day. You want to be reinforcing the circadian rhythm every day. I mean, right now I'm recording the podcast and we're approaching the winter solstice, which is the shortest daylight hours of the year. And, this is how plants know, like poinsettias grow in Florida where I live. You can just plant them in the ground and they know because of the light, right? That, okay, this is when we bloom. Same with Christmas cactus. And there's so many things that happen in the human body as well, where, we don't usually feel as energetic in December, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, as we do in June, the longest day of the year. And I've also heard that, like, for those of us who are on thyroid medication, maybe you have hypothyroidism like I do, It's very common in the winter time that you're even the medication that was enough for you in the summer, right? Like your body slows down in the wintertime. So your labs, your thyroid labs might show slightly different levels in the wintertime because your body naturally sort of slows down. This is a vestige from eons of, adaptations over the years. We look at the animals who hibernate and stuff, right? Well, we kind of hibernate in our own way in the wintertime. So being aware of your circadian rhythm every day is a huge factor to triggering metabolic processes inside the body. If you don't get your morning light, those will be messed up, and which can mess up your sleep. Okay, so the way you regulate your hormones, your metabolism, your weight, and your risk for other diseases, according to Dr. Means, is by showing your cells what time it is by exposing your eyeballs to direct sunlight through the light part of the day and getting rid of light from your eyes as much as possible when the sun is down. So you also have to control, right? Because we have electricity, you have to control your light exposure in the evening when the sun is down. You have to be aware of this. It's not enough just to get the sunlight. Now you're not looking into the sun, right? Like you're just sitting outside or you're allowing the sun to reach your skin. You don't have to look directly into the sun. Okay. Please don't do that. All right. So, a sensitivity to your circadian rhythm. The next point is every time you skimp on the quantity, the quality, or the consistency of your sleep, you're going to trigger your body into oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction. That means the engines in your cells are not working optimally, chronic inflammation, and it even disrupts your gut microbiome, which we know affects a lot of things, right? It's like affects your gastrointestinal system. It affects your mood. Your serotonin is all created in your gut. So even if your diet's optimal, but you have too little sleep, Dr. Means says your cells will spew out excess free radicals, send out danger signals, recruit the immune system. It will struggle to make energy and sets you up to become insulin resistant. So, all of these things are huge blocks to you reaching your weight goals. So, lack of quality of sleep and consistency of sleep and duration of sleep is a profound danger signal to the body, which will throw off your metabolism and get this, promote fat storage. This is huge for weight goals. Okay, next one she talks about is that the lack of sleep creates a vicious cycle because once you have these negative adaptations from skimping on sleep or having less than 7 hours, once you have that sleep deprivation adaptations happening in the body, those adaptations will further prevent you from getting good sleep because they create their own triggers that set you up to not be able to get good sleep. Okay, next one. This one was really interesting. She says, in a lab, you can deprive a mouse of sleep and then transfer that mouse's microbiome, so their gut microbiome, to a mouse that isn't sleep deprived and doesn't have a microbiome. And the mouse who gets that depressed microbiome will develop chronic inflammation throughout the body and the brain, as well as have like cognitive impairment, which means it can't think as well. So even though that mouse isn't sleep deprived, if you just give that negative gut microbiome and you introduce it into that mouse, they're going to have the same problem. So that's a powerful predictor of problems with your body just working well. Next one, sleeping too little will vastly increase your likelihood of overeating by altering hunger and satiety hormones. I mean, this one by itself is enough. I think that every single person listening to this podcast should really sit up and notice. I mean, the way that you get to your weight goals is by being able to follow your hunger and satiety hormones. I mean, learning how to just read normal hunger and satiety signals in your body is hard enough. We're not really taught how to do that. I spend a lot of my time helping my clients go through my 6-step process for how to figure out what percentage full you are or what even hunger feels like. A lot of times, my clients who've been dieting for decades, they're like, I don't even know what my hunger feels like because they've just been shutting down hunger because they've been pushing past hunger, thinking they have to not eat. So if you're not sleeping, you're altering your hunger and satiety hormones. Your body will produce more hunger when you're sleep deprived, and it will give you less satiety than if you're well rested. So, if you want a quick hack for how to reach your goals faster, you have to look at your quality of sleep, your duration of sleep. Okay. Here's the next one. She says recent research looking at cancer mortality, that means death from cancer, death from cardiovascular disease, and all cause mortality. So, all reasons why people die over 12 to 20 years. So, this is a long term study, showed that mortality was 13% higher for every 5% reduction in REM sleep that they got. So, if you're not getting into your dream state of sleep, if you're just never getting into that deeper level of sleep, your risk for dying is higher, 13% higher for every 5% reduction in the REM sleep that they experienced. That's really something. So, I mean, it's not just affecting like your ability to lose weight, it's affecting your total health, right? Nothing is happening here in a vacuum. One thing affects everything. The next thing Dr. Means talks about is the importance of eating when your body is in the natural part of its circadian rhythm to be able to process your food. So she says human circadian biology primes us to be more insulin sensitive. That's what we want. And generate more heat from processing or metabolizing our food in the morning instead of the evening. Overall, research suggests that we do much better by front loading the day with food, especially higher carbohydrate food, and stopping eating as early as possible in the evening. So you really don't want to be having the lion's share of your calories outside of when the sun is down, right? Like you want to be eating when the sun is up. Your body's primed and ready to handle that fuel and process that fuel. If you're eating late in the day, you are really stressing your body's ability to handle the fuel that you're giving it because it is not primed to handle that food. We weren't meant to be eating in a primal way when the sun is down. So we want to eat like, our grandparents did. Early bird special, earlier in the day. Okay. You are more insulin sensitive in the morning. So if you are having carbohydrates or, processed flour and sugar, if you are going to make that choice, have it earlier in the day because your body's better able to handle it. Even better, have it earlier in the day and then take a walk afterward. That will help your body process it. Okay. And here's the last one. And this is her conclusion about the driver of obesity. She says, the systematic erosion of healthy sleep, which causes the dysregulation of hormones, making us want to eat more, is a main driver of obesity. And that is, she says, along with the overconsumption of highly processed foods. But that's huge. The systematic erosion of healthy sleep causes the dysregulation of hormones, which makes us want to eat more, is the main driver of obesity. along with the overconsumption of highly processed foods. So now that I've gone over just a few of the highlights from the Good Energy book about the importance of sleep and as it relates to you reaching your weight goals, hopefully now you have a natural inclination and motivation to relook at your sleep habits, your sleep hygiene, and really just take a data-driven look. So the action steps start now. I want you to be tracking your sleep. And if you can, get a wearable sleep tracking device so you can get the data. You want to look at your total sleep, your quality of sleep, your amount of time spent in REM sleep and deep sleep. And there are optimal times to spend in each, and you can do some more research on your own about how to move toward those depending on where you're at, right? But you can't really say what you need for sleep until you are sure how you're sleeping. And again, like now that you know how important sleep quality is, hopefully you're naturally inclined to not stay up too late, not spend too much time on electronics, and do some other things to help you optimize your consistency of your sleep as well. So here's some actionable steps that I'd like you to do. I'd like you to create an individualized sleep protocol to help you move or level up the sleep that you're doing based on where you're at right now. So you'll get your wearable device, and you need to wear it for at least a week or two, and then look at the data. And then you can look at sort of your patterns. They might be different on the weekend than they are during the week. If you eat late at night, look at how that affects your sleep. Look at how much deep sleep you're getting. Are you waking up all the time at night? Okay. And then from there, you'll see what your challenges are, and you can start to create an individualized sleep protocol for yourself to try to optimize some of the things that may not be optimal. Okay. That's the first thing. The next part, I'm just going to give you some ideas about some actionable steps that you can take to make a big difference in your sleep. So the first thing is to work towards 7 or more hours of sleep nightly, every night. Weekday, weekend, doesn't matter. 7 or more hours each night. That's the gold standard. Track it. Track your duration. Like I mentioned, your REM sleep, your deep sleep, and work toward optimizing those. Third thing you can do is start thinking in really loving ways about your sleep. Like, I want you to make your bed really yummy. If you've got shitty pillows, it's time for new pillows. Like, if your blankets aren't optimal, if you're throwing them off because you get too hot, like, optimize your blankets on your bed. Make sure that you're sleeping with the right amount of blankets depending on the temperature. I mean, I don't know about you right now, but in Florida right now, it can be like either air conditioning on, or we could have a cold front. And what I put on the bed to regulate my temperature so I'm not waking up is different. So every night before bed, like if it's changed, if the weather's changed, I may switch out a blanket, I may switch out a sheet. It depends. Be willing to go the extra mile to help you get unbroken sleep. The next one is to put lights on a schedule and use dimmers. I've put as many of the key lights in my home on Alexa smart timers. So it's like a little rectangle that your lamp will plug into, and then you can control it with Alexa. So I have rooms turning off that I don't need light on by dinner time. By 6 o'clock, things are getting either dimmed or turned off. And by 10 o'clock at night, all the lights in the house go off. And that is my cue. Heather, you need to get to bed. 10 p.m. They go off. Maybe you all are like my husband, who cannot wait to get into bed every night. Like, he's like, can we go to bed? Can we go to bed? He loves to go to bed. He's a great sleeper. I swear he gets a dopamine hit out of sleeping. He loves every morning. He says, How did you sleep? How did you sleep? He wants to tell me how well he slept. Whereas for me, this wasn't really a thing growing up. We didn't really talk about how well we slept. And so I didn't really learn to talk really lovingly about my sleep and see it as something that really benefited me. So that goes back to my other suggestion, which is to fall in love with getting more sleep. Here's one thing I do. I went onto Amazon and I take this with me when I travel and I also use it in my house. You can get LED indicator light blocking stickers. So I mean, I swear everything that we buy these days that's electronic has an LED indicator. You want to block all of those. Your house should not look lit up when every light is off because there's 5,000 LED lights beaming into your eyes at night. That's just not good. Cover them. Like when I go into the hotels, like I remember I was in a hotel and the bathroom light had this giant LED indicator light. I figured that the attorneys for the hotel chain thought that would be a great idea so people didn't trip and fall. But it lit up the whole hotel room and it was beaming me right in the eye. So become really light sensitive. Like, don't tolerate LED lights in your space. Get rid of them. You can always put in like night lights that will turn on if there's movement and make sure that they're like dimly lit. I never put like holiday lights on my house because the ambient light comes in. I don't really know how people do that. If I have lights at night, I'm just very sensitive to it coming in. So get the shade that blocks light completely. If your window treatments do not keep light out and it like can wake you up at night, make the decision and really set yourself up for a dark environment at night. We're going to have you sitting outside every morning for a minimum of 5 minutes. If this means setting up a nice chair on your porch or your patio or your deck or something, do it. Um, I love my house because I have a screened in, they call it in Florida a lanai. I always call it just a screened in patio, but it faces east. And I watch the sun come up every morning as I do my planning for the day and my journaling. And I've sometimes thought about moving from this house, but my first thought is it'll be hard for me to find another like covered patio where I can get that morning light. Like I look forward to it. I value it so, so much. And I've become such a great sleeper since I have the habit of going out first thing with my coffee and sitting on the porch. Of course, living in Florida, like I can be out there 99% of my days. It's rare that it's too cold for me to sit out there, but do what you can in the environment and the climate that you're in. Okay. Even if that just means spending 1 minute walking around outside, put your jacket on in the winter time if you can and get that sunlight into your eyes, right? Move your meals earlier and go to bed earlier. Remember, we want to be like the early bird special. Okay. No more late night eating. When I eat late at night, the next morning when I look at my Aura Ring sleep report, it says, "Did something happen last night, Heather? What happened? Because your sleep was shitty." I mean, it doesn't say that specifically, but basically in so many words, it says, "Wow, something was different last night. Like your heart rate was elevated and it didn't lower until late in your sleep cycle." And that's because when you eat late at night, like it takes a lot of energy for you to digest your food and that your body doesn't want to be doing that. Your body wants to be resting and recovering at night. Okay? Analyze the types of inputs that lead to bad and good sleep so you can be strategic. So this means looking at your aura sleep report every morning and just make it a habit. And just notice like when you do get that bad sleep, like I did when I notice when I eat late. If I eat after 8 p.m. and I usually go to bed 10:30 p.m., like that only leaves an hour. So I'm still actively digesting before I go to bed if I'm eating at 9 and I'm going to bed at 10. So you want to leave at least 2 hours, optimally a little bit more between your last bite of food and when you go to bed. That's something else you can do. You can wear those blue light blocking glasses. Make sure that you have like nighttime mode set up on your devices that you might be on in the evening after the sun goes down so that you're not getting that blue light into your eyes. When you get your glasses, make sure that there's UV blue light blocking filters on the lenses in your glasses. You want to make sure you have that. Prioritize rest the next day if you're short on your sleep. So many of my clients don't do this. They just kind of like keep calm, carry on, and just barrel forward in their day. So, what I'd like to see instead is a sensitivity and an awareness. If you're short on sleep, let's say you got 6 hours instead of 7. Well, you know you're short at least 1 hour of sleep. Look at the next day when you plan your day, see if you can get back some of that sleep so you can recover some of that. It won't prevent some of those negative adaptations from happening because you're short of sleep when you start your day, but it could minimize the impact. If you can catch up on half of it, you'll always be better off and you'll feel better. You will feel better. Talk to your doctor if you can't sleep. I have a lot of clients in perimenopause and menopause. I went through this myself. Uh, when your progesterone decreases more than your estrogen is changing in perimenopause, one of the hallmarks of that is you fall asleep really easily and then you wake up in the middle of the night and it's hard for you to get back to sleep. That's like classic, like being low in progesterone. So talk to your doctor, do some research and see, because if you're not sleeping every night, if you're getting 4 or 5 hours every night, please read the Good Energy book, the part on sleep, and really notice how much your body is struggling to function. And, I had perimenopause symptoms for years, a good 8 years. If I had not sought out hormone replacement therapy, which I did, it fixed my sleep within 5 days. I was able to sleep. It made all the difference for me. And I discussed that with my doctor. And if you are really struggling and you think it's your sex hormones are just not allowing you to sleep, advocate for yourself and research and find out, medically what's right for you. Okay. And finally, create a time to close the kitchen. So usually I do it if this, then that in my own life. I say I can watch my evening program, and usually most nights I have a program that I like to watch on TV. I don't allow myself to watch that until the kitchen is cleaned and I shut off the lights in the kitchen. So it's closed. And it just sort of just tells my habit brain, like, we're done. And the more often and more consistent you can get with this, the easier it'll be to just avoid even thinking after that time that you want to eat. Okay. So I hope I've given you a summary of why it's super important to optimize your sleep, why it matters, and for your weight goals, and how you can optimize it using a wearable device, hopefully, and using some of those strategies I gave you. Okay. So your homework is to get your device and start sleeping with it. Track your data, look for patterns, create your sleep protocol so you can optimize your sleep. And hopefully, not only will you feel so much better, but your body will be working more optimally. And hopefully, that'll make it easier for you to reach your weight goals. Okay. Visit me over on Instagram. You can find me by searching at Thrive in Midlife and leave me a comment and let me know how you found this episode. I would love to talk more with you about that. We can continue the conversation over there. And if you want to join my list, you can write subscribe and any comment on any of my posts, and I'll send you the link to subscribe to my email list. Okay. Stay focused, and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's hbeardsley.com/subscribe and get on the list. You'll get a free gift, periodic coaching, plus advance notice of in-person events and workshops.